Hey guys, and welcome back to my third and final Vlogmas. Today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite Christmas movies and specials. Okay guys, before we even get into my list, I want to address two things right now. The first is that Die Hard will not be mentioned in my list whatsoever. The only thing that needs to die hard is the fact that people are still joking that it's a Christmas movie. And the second, Christmas movie. Okay, we have those out of the way. So, what are some of my favorite holiday and Christmas specials and films that I like to watch to kind of get me in the spirit? So, the first one's a little bit of an honorable mention. We all know that I am a big fan of a certain science fiction franchise. And listen, it's not great, but I watch the Star Wars Holiday Special. I don't necessarily watch it more so than I just put it on and do stuff around the house. So it's really there for background noise. Uh, I watch it every year. I don't know why. I'm a glutton for punishment, apparently. Also, don't ask how I have a copy of this. The next one is a made-for-TV movie special starring The Muppets. This is from the early 2000s. It has Whoopi Goldberg and David Arquette and Joan Cusack. I think this is a very underrated Muppets film. It was made for TV, and it has this wonderful life kind of vibe. Even though I'm not a big fan of that film, it does borrow from that film a lot. Kermit has this existential crisis, and he's also going to lose the Muppet Theater on Christmas Eve. Hilarity and antics and Muppets ensue. Very good, worth your time. This next one is one that I just started watching recently. I kind of went down a classic film wormhole probably about 10 years ago, and I started to incorporate the classic White Christmas into my Christmas rotation here. I love this film. Bing Crosby, Danny Kaye, Rosemary Clooney, all solid actors from the era. Interesting story about White Christmas. It was actually the song was written by Irving Berlin, and it was written for a different film called Holiday Inn. And the song White Christmas came out in the spring. It didn't sell at all whatsoever. Flash forward to that Christmas, I believe it was 1942, 1943, maybe 1944, somewhere within that 3-year period. People started buying it and sending it to the troops in World War II. And to this day, I believe it's still the best-selling record of all time. Another favorite film that I like to watch this time of year is a modern classic by Jon Favreau, Elf. When this came out, it was hilarious. It's still hilarious. It is a bit dated. I was watching it the other day, and there was a mention of cookies in the VCR. Who uses a VCR anymore? Actually, I do know a lot of people who use VCRs, believe it or not. Even though it's dated, it's still funny, and it's still great, and I watch it every year. This next one is one of my favorites, and it's really hard to find. The Muppet Family Christmas. This was done in the late 80s by Jim Henson Studios. Jim Henson actually makes an appearance towards the end, and all of his creations come together in this magical, festive Christmas special. We have the Muppets, we have the characters from Sesame Street, we have the Fraggles, and a whole bunch of human characters sprinkled in. I love it, and they don't print it on DVD anymore, largely because Disney now owns the intellectual property of the Muppets, and Sesame Street is still owned by the Children's Television Workshop, and Fraggles is still owned by Jim Henson Studios. You can find a copy on DVD, but it is ridiculously out of print, and you will pay premium third-party sellers for it. If you can find a copy, do yourself a favor and watch it. Required viewing every year. Some of you guys might not know this about me, but I used to work in a puppet museum. I'm going to let that sink in. Yes, a puppet museum. And every December, the theater in the puppet museum would hold their version of the classic Rankin and Bass Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I love this stop-motion animation film. Love it. I watch it every year. I watch all of these every year because these are kind of my favorite. This one holds a little bit more dear to my heart because of where I worked, but also because I just grew up loving it. It's a great film. You gotta watch it at least once. This next one I remember seeing in the theater when it was released, and it is something that I kick off my holiday season with whenever I decorate my tree, and that is A Muppet Christmas Carol. This was the first Muppet film that was released after the death of Jim Henson. It was directed by Brian Henson, and the role of Ebenezer Scrooge is brilliantly portrayed by Michael Caine. The Muppet humor is there, the songs are there, the heart is there. I love this movie. Guys, come on. I'm Jordan Ghastly. I've got to throw a scary movie in here, don't I? So the next film that I really love is a recent film by the director of Michael Dougherty, Krampus. I absolutely love everything about the Krampus mythology, the folklore, the tales, everything. The videos on YouTube of the Krampus parades in Eastern Europe are amazing. The costumes are amazing. Some of the really cool decorations of the Krampus holding a child upside down, swaying back and forth, amazing. I really love Michael Dougherty's filmmaking. I really enjoy Trick or Treat, which was his other film. It's not one of my favorite scary movies. It's just one of my favorite movies. But Krampus follows suit with Trick or Treat of being very playful yet being very serious. I love it. Go watch it. Krampus. Speaking about films that I remember seeing in the theater, brings us to our next one. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I believe I was 6 when this movie came out. I remember seeing it in the theater with my mom, my aunt, my uncle, and one of my cousins. Man, how could you just not like this film? It's funny from start to finish. There are about 5 movies in the world that I think are the most quotable films. This is one of them. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Kiss my... Which brings us to the final film to top my list of favorites for this holiday season. We talked about one version of this film earlier, but this is my all-time definitive favorite version of this film. A Christmas Carol featuring George C. Scott. I don't know what it is about this film. Maybe it's because it's the one that stood out to me the most. I've watched every version of A Christmas Carol that I can get my hands on, and I don't know what it is about this one. This one just grabbed me, and it's held me since. George C. Scott as Ebenezer Scrooge is amazing. All of the spirits that come to visit him, amazing. The scenery, I feel like they do the period of Victorian England very well in this one. I don't think it gets any better than this one. So, if you're looking for a version to watch this year, or in the next 3 days, because Christmas is 3 days away from now, make sure it's this one. And that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate you coming over to my YouTube page and watching my Vlogmas videos. I might take a break between next week and the new year for the vlog. I'm not sure yet. If you don't see anything new from me for about a week or 2, don't panic. I'll be there. I'm still out filming. But it's going to be pretty busy between the next week and the beginning of the year. So if I don't see you guys, have a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy Holiday. See you real soon.